Hey, folks, today in a Russian court, WNBA star Brittney Griner pled guilty to drug charges. She was led into court in handcuffs, and during her trial today, her attorneys entered that that guilty plea. She made it clear that she did not intend to bring drugs into the country. She told the judge she wanted to take responsibility for her actions. Afterwards, her attorney spoke to the media.
And did Brittney say what made her take this decision today? Do you have any explanation for why she decided?
She's a responsible person, and she admitted that it was hers, but she said that it was unintentionally brought to Russia because she was in a hurry as she was packing, and it was just by accident it ended up in her luggage.
Considering her personality and that she is a role model to many people, to many young people, I think she should be responsible for her actions.
The prosecution was reading the medical certificates, and what did the medical certificate say? That no drugs were found in her urine and her blood. Am I right?
Well, they were reading just all the evidence that they have on the files.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes,
Can you give us the full answer?
Well, I think we will probably comment on this during the next court session when we will be presenting our evidence.
But right now, nothing was found in her test examples.
She was clean and she was tested, right?
And what is she going what will be the next hearing?
The defense will start to present their evidences and their witnesses.
Why give a guilty plea impartial today? She'll give fuller testimony to later. So why announce it today? What's the point of that?
Because the prosecution ended their part, and it was the start of the part of the defense. And later during the trial, she will have the possibility to explain herself more thoroughly.
And also mitigating factors. I mean, is that the idea? To explain mitigating factors for why?
Of course.
Yes.
Griner will be back in court in July 14th. Joining us right now is legal analyst Candace Kelly. Candace, glad to have you here. Here is the speculation, Candace, that she needed to plead guilty in order for there to be a prisoner swap that previously happened with another American who was being held there by Russia.
And Roland, you're exactly right. She needed to plead guilty because when we come to the table and you want to make some concessions and even be in a position of negotiating power and have that leverage, you have to say, I give a little bit of this and you give me a little bit of that. She had to plead guilty to go through the system, to go through the court system. I won't say the justice system because, as we know, the Russian court system, when you go to court in Russia, and the court that she's in, it's expected that she's going to be convicted. There's no question about justice. It's just a question about how long will she be sentenced. So all of these wills had to go into motion where she had to plead guilty. And I think behind the scenes, her wife, the people who are supporting her the most, they have had it with the Biden administration. They have had it with the lack of negotiation. They've had it with the fact that Biden waited all the way till yesterday after Brittney Griner allegedly to say, listen, I'm terrified. Don't forget about me. On this July 4th, my father, he served in the Vietnam War. Her wife, Cheryl, is tired of it. So they went behind the scenes and they came up with their own strategy. And this was part of the negotiation. Plead guilty, and we're going to do it our own way because the Biden administration has not satisfied us enough. And that's where we are right now, Roland.
But let's be honest here. The Biden administration didn't have many options here. There's a war going on between Ukraine and the Russians. The Americans are supporting Ukraine in a significant way. This also is a huge political tool for Vladimir Putin to hold against the United States. So really, what options did the American government actually have?
Well, listen, the fact that they were negotiating behind the scenes and it seemed like they were telling Brittney Griner's people, listen, just hold back for a moment. We're doing what we can do. Well, here we are 7 months later. They're asking, what have you done? You haven't even given us a call. a call would be good so that when Brittney gives me a letter in the mail, because I haven't spoken to her on the phone, I can tell her, hey, listen, the Biden administration reached out to me. At least that's a start. That's a beginning, giving Brittney a little hope, a little faith that she's got America behind her. And when you're over there in Russia by yourself in that particular legal system, that actually does mean a lot to know that at least some wheels are turning and that everybody's working on one accord. So they didn't have many options in terms of this is what we can do because we know that you're a political ploy, but at least have a little support. And that's what her wife and the Brittney Griner team have been saying. Can you support us? Can you give us a call? And there are plenty of families who are now coming forth and saying, hey, now that you've got your call, Cheryl Griner, we need a call too. So it's not just about Brittney Griner. There's a larger picture, as you said, in terms of exchanging political prisoners, prisoners that have been exchanged before. Now we're looking at a situation as to who do we actually exchange? And that's where the Biden administration is right now, albeit behind closed doors. But my guess is that something is going on in terms of that exchange, at least trying to happen. They just can't show their cards right now, Roland.
But historically, I mean, here's one of the things. I mean, I think back to Syria, when the Reagan administration couldn't do anything with that government, and it was Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr., Minister Louis Farrakhan, Reverend Jeremiah Wright, and others who traveled over there and brought back Captain Gutman. When I think about same thing in Iraq, when Reverend Jackson went and rescued, brought back American citizens dealing with Saddam Hussein. The U.S. government couldn't get anywhere with Saddam. Reverend Jackson was able to do so, and of course, with the encouragement of Muhammad Ali. When I think about soldiers, I think it was in Yugoslavia, if I'm correct, where Reverend Jackson brought them back. And so this is one of those things where, again, a figure like Reverend Jackson was where we needed someone like that. Unfortunately, he's been impacted in a severe way by Parkinson's, but having a third-party religious delegation sort of lead those negotiations, that's typically what has happened in the past because the government was hamstrung because of another government didn't want to deal with the United States.
And Roland, where are they? Where are those people who are coming to the forefront to say yay or nay that we support? And this is what we need to do.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of black leaders, frankly,
Correct.
who had the stature of Reverend Jackson to be able to go do that.
True. But it's interesting that you mentioned stature because when we talk about Brittney Griner, she's a rock star over there. People know her name over here, but we just have not seen kind of this continuous support and media blitz and information about her, for all these months that we would see. LeBron James wouldn't have been over there that long. Let's be real. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a black.
First of all, let's be clear. LeBron James would not have to play over there for money.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the WNBA does not pay as much, and that's one of the reasons why Brittney Griner and other WNBA stars play overseas because they can't make the same amount of money. And people watching need to understand some of these female players are making $250,000, $500,000 or more playing overseas money they simply will never see in the United States.
Right. And it brings up a lot of questions about equity, and not only the equity in terms of payment, but now that she's in this country where she was forced to play because she could get more money, how are they treating black gay women over there? Roland, how are they treating black gay women over here? We know that in Russia, they do not accept gays on a whole. By and large, they want them exiled. You can't even have propaganda kind of be pandered, as they say, to young people because they think it might corrupt and you can get criminally in charge. So you've got all of these factors going on. And then in the middle of this, she's this political pawn somehow when she was carrying hashish, which has nothing to do with politics. Now, I think that it's really interesting in terms of what her guilty plea was. She said, yes, I plead guilty, but it wasn't my intent. Roland, that's two different things. She's saying guilty in order to appease the Russians so that she can move the needle in that regard.
Yep.
But in order to be guilty, you have to have the intent. On the other hand, she said, well, it wasn't my intent. I think it's very interesting that on the first day where she appeared in court, she wore a Jimi Hendrix T-shirt. Jimi Hendrix was someone who was tried. He was not convicted across state lines in Canada for having weed. He said, hey, listen, I had so many fans around me, giving me stuff, giving me gifts. Somehow it got in my bag. Wasn't his intent to do it. So I think that was good that she said, hey, it wasn't my intent because you need that. But it really does contradict her guilty verdict because the two have to coexist. But that guilty verdict, the fact that she said it, satisfied the Russians. And in her mind, in Cheryl's mind, and all the people who came to the rally for her yesterday, in their minds, they hope that this will at least push the needle and give her a little leverage to kind of move this forward. At this point, they've said, hey, listen, we're looking to detain you for about 6 more months. One, that's because of the legal system. They don't have day-by-day, back-to-back court systems. This is not tried in front of a jury. This is tried in front of one judge. They meet once a week. 2.5-hour drive for her. Her 6'8" self in very small, confined conditions has to go back and forth. And when she gets there, there are not going to be any Perry Mason moments. The judge just reads information into a file. So that's why we're not talking about justice here. We really are just talking about what's the conviction. And she's hoping that what she's doing, what her wife's doing, what everybody's doing can kind of beat that conviction and get her over here before it even gets to that stage.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa. It's a Buick. It's an Alexa. Coach, that's a Buick. That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built-in.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?